While chromatic aberration is greatly reduced in more expensive L-series lenses, the problem of chromatic aberration from the center to the edges is still an issue, affecting image quality, and the problem only gets worse in more affordable lenses. And to make matters worse, chromatic aberration is exacerbated by electromagnetic interference. But it looks like Canon's solved the problem. And we've also got breaking news on the lowest price ever for Canon's flagship camera. But more on that later. First, let's tackle chromatic aberration. In Canon patent application JP 2024-08-2021, filed on December the 7th, 2022, and published June 19th, 2024, Canon claims to achieve a highly accurate method for managing the surface shape of a lens. And at first you might be thinking that this has absolutely nothing to do with chromatic aberration or color fringing or the effects of electromagnetic interference, but rest assured this patent is all about those things. Sometimes the problem statement doesn't really give us an idea of what the patent's all about, but let's get into it. Chromatic aberration and color fringing occur when different colors of light fail to converge at the same point after passing through the lens. The result, of course, is blurred images and color outlines around objects, reducing image clarity. And electromagnetic interference disrupts even further, interfering with the precise capture of light, which further exacerbates chromatic aberration and other optical distortions. A purpose-built chip indicated in Figure 1 is the brains behind this patent. The cross-sectional view shows pixels arranged on the top of the substrate. The different layers perform different functions. 302 represents the electrode, 303 the insulating layer, 304 the organic layer, including the light-emitting layer, with 305 being the upper electrode. 306 is the protective layer of the sensor, while 307 is the planarization layer, and 308 is the color filter. Now, Figure 4, this is where we get into the monitoring part of the lens. It gives us a top-down view. This region contains multiple lenses arranged on the base layer identified by 222A, B, and C, while 309 and 3019 represent the underlying layer and serve no monitoring function. The primary purpose of the monitoring lenses is to monitor the lens's surface shape, and that's in the pixel region of the sensor used to create the image. And this patent application talks about a method. It's not just about technology. It is about technology. It's about altering the sensor. It's about different chips within the lenses and how all this works together. So it's not just about technology. It's about a method. It's about the placement. And of course, it's about firmware. And while this is a very technical patent where the specifics have been drawn out over a series of 22 diagrams, the core idea is that Canon's developed a camera system, a method that compensates for or mitigates chromatic aberration, color fringing, and electromagnetic interference, making those things worse. So Canon claims to solve the problem through a new redesigned sensor that's able to capture data, analyze that data, and then dynamically make changes to reduce the effects of chromatic aberration, to reduce the effects of electromagnetic interference. And this is a big deal, but this isn't the only patent application that talks about this. There is another patent application that talks about the effects of electromagnetic interference and how Canon's reduce the probability of that happening. Canon patent application JP 2024-07-2582 addresses electromagnetic interference on image quality by moving circuitry away from the internal components of the lens to the external side. And we also see this in JP 2024-08-2021, today's patent application, in Figure 1. So while this might be the second patent application that deals with chromatic aberration, improving image quality as it relates to electromagnetic interference, this one is a little bit different, but when it comes to improving overall image quality, we've had several dozen patent applications. So that begs the question, and I know you've already, and Mark's already thinking this, he's nodding at me. I know what you're thinking. Will this be in the Canon EOS R5 Mark II and the Canon EOS R1? Well, a trusted source has told us that both cameras will have a 24x36 sensor, a full-frame sensor, but it's going to be a totally new sensor, stacked and backlit. And at price points above $4,000, which the R5 Mark II is going to at least come right on at $39.99, and the Canon EOS R1, which is going to be somewhere north of $59.99, it's pretty safe to assume that, well, despite when we talk about things we want to see in these cameras, such as a better autofocus system, better low light performance, dynamic range, and all that sort of stuff. Really what it boils down to at the end of the day, what we really care most about, whether professionals, hobbyists, or amateurs, we want to improve that hit rate. And that's what this patent application is all about. So to see this in the Canon EOS R1 and the Canon EOS R5, yes. The only question is, to what degree? And from a recent teaser video, no, not that one, this one, the Canon EOS R1 isn't far away. And this is much closer to actual fruition than we had predicted based on our sources and Canon Rumors had predicted. We were all thinking that it was going to be sometime around Q3, Q4, or at the end of summer. But as we've seen from Canon USA's tweet here, and of course what they put on the recent website, their development announcement, the R1 is coming very, very soon, and there's supposed to be some sort of, how should we say, retailer meeting in Canada on July the 4th, so I don't expect it to happen before then, but most likely what's going to happen is probably starting the second week of July is when we can start to, really be on pins and needles, waiting in anticipation. Sometime around the middle of July is when we'll get the announcement of the Canon EOS R1, and I'm really excited by that. So again, thank you to all my sources, everybody who contributes and helps out on this channel. It's very much appreciated. But there is one thing I talked about in the beginning of this video, and the lowest price ever on a Canon flagship camera, a camera that for, well, the better part of its existence hasn't really gone on sale, at least until now. The Canon 1DX Mark III, normally $64.99, is finally on sale. Although you do have to click on this button here to see the price. B&H, not Adorama, B&H is the only company that I can see that is offering the Canon 1DX Mark III for $49.99. That's the lowest price ever. And the 1DX Mark II is $29.99. But if you want something a little bit more modern, you might want to consider the Canon EOS R3, a more modern camera, a de facto standard or step in for the 1DX Mark III in the mirrorless platform. It's currently $39.99 at B&H, although you'll also have to click on that link to get them to email you the price. So there you have it. The Canon EOS R1 is coming very soon. It's going to have a price of somewhere between $59.99 and likely $69.99. Very, very soon indeed, probably sometime by the middle of July. I was going to say January for a moment there. And of course, the EOS R5 Mark II is supposed to come the same month. The only question is it going to come at the same event? I really think that the R1 kind of stands on its own, and based on what we're hearing, the R5 Mark II is also going to be a pretty impressive upgrade. So it makes sense to me that each of these cameras would have its own separate announcement. And I know the R6 and the R5 were announced at the same time, but way back in 2020, it was a very, very different time. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do the R1 one week and maybe the R5 Mark II another week, but we'll just have to wait and see. And all those, what should we say, pricing discounts on the 1DX Mark III and all that stuff that I put up here, I do have those links in the description down below, along with the pre-order links for the Canon EOS R1, the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, and a whole bunch of other cameras. There's so many cameras on sale. If these high-end cameras are just too much for you, well, take a look at the R100, the R50, the R7, the R10. They're all on sale. Although I'd recommend getting the R50 over the R100 any day, especially with these discounts. The R50, in my view, is one of their best cameras ever in terms of affordability, and the R100 I would stay away from. If you're interested in the R100, just pick up the Canon EOS M50 Mark II. Yes, it's a system that has been discontinued, but you're going to have more capabilities, and I think at this price point, having that flippy screen really matters, and that camera doesn't. But if you do use any of my links down below and you purchase anything from Adorama, B&H, or Amazon.com, just to let you know, being fully transparent, I can get a commission back of anywhere between 2 and 12%, and that goes right to supporting this channel. And a big thanks to all of you that have pre-ordered. Thanks an awful lot. It means an awful lot to me. The Nikon Z6 Mark III the other day was very successful. And it's through your efforts that I'm considering quitting my day job and doing this as my full-time job. But unfortunately, I'm not quite there yet. It's going to take a little bit more work and effort on my part, which is why I'm not just doing news and rumors. I think covering patent applications, it gives us a particular insight into what Canon's working on. These aren't rumors, and yes, they could take a patent and put it on a shelf, but just keep in mind that when they're doing research and development into a patent application, somebody somewhere along the line has approved the level of effort and resources committed to that. And to actually publish a patent requires additional engineers and review cycles, and then lawyers are involved, and then they have to file it, and there's money and effort there. And when you see multiple patent applications, well, the likelihood is it was so successful in the first bit of research that they continued that research, and the likelihood of seeing that, at least in the high-end cameras, is almost a foregone conclusion. Now, in terms of seeing some of those capabilities in more affordable cameras, well, as we start to move down the price point, it becomes a bit more of a guessing game, and we just don't really know. But this is actually from Canon. It's their own words. Granted, it's been machine translated, and then I've kind of copy-proofed them from there, because the original engineering legal speak that was written in Japanese, just like the problem statement, even though I've translated that and copy-proofed it a little bit, it's still really hard to understand. And if you read some of these patent applications, and I recommend you do so, they can be a little bit hard to understand. And after I close off this video, you can see all the patent diagrams. There's some 22 of them for this one. But thank you for watching right to the end of the video. Thank you for commenting. And for those of you that do use my affiliate links, thank you so much. If you've never used them before, there's no special codes. It doesn't take you to a special part of the website. No BS. It takes you directly to the company's website, Adorama, B&H, or Amazon, where you get to save yourself a whole bunch of money, and as a benefit, without you having to spend any extra, I get a small commission back, and I think it's the best of both worlds. What a better way to support the channel. Anyhow, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you again soon.